Chapter 3. Night dark waves lap softly upon the western shores, like a black velvet cloak, endlessly unfolding. A full honey-dipped moon shed its light over the scene below, softening the rugged formation of the mountain fortress known as Solomon Dastron. Four creatures, two badgers and two hares, leaned on a smooth, wide window ledge. About halfway up the mountain, watching the activity of two young creatures below, they conversed in hushed tones. Lord Hightor, the badger ruler, heaved a sigh of resignation. Oh well, if he's got to go, then I suppose 'tis inevitable. Maybe out there us would learn a bit of sense. We can't take much more of that young rip. He's probably all for the best. If he stays here disobeying me, we're bound to meet head on before long. I still have my doubts about it, though. Hightor's wife, Lady Melora, stroked his paw smoothly. It didn't do you harm when you ran off for a few seasons as a young badger. You told me yourself. Two male badgers on the same mountain, 'twould never work. Even I can see that. Poor Sagaxus. He's a born rebel. I can't help worrying about it. He's got a lot of hard lessons to learn out there. I hope he'll be all right. Colonial Whipscut of Long Patrol was a hare of old school. Twirling his waxed mustache whiskers, he puffed out his metal-clad chest, murmuring confidentially, "All right, milady. Why shouldn't they be jolly well all right, Wat? Your son and my son leaving home for a bloomin' good adventure or two. Do 'em a bit of good, I say. Keep the blighters out of our fur for a while. Do you know, it's flippin' hard to tell who's the worst rascal between 'em, young Sagaxus or the Beascarum of mine. Rogues and bounders, the pair of 'em. They won't come to much harm, believe me." The colonial's wife, Dunferda, interrupted him sharply. "I should say they won't come to much harm, Whippy, 'cause you'll be out following 'em every step of the way." The colonial looked slightly deflated. He began blustering. "I say, steady on there, old Jill. Me following those two rips for a couple of seasons? What do you think I am, a bloomin' stalking duck? Out of the question, I'm afraid. I got my command to attend here, what? That did it." Dunfreda whipped out a small kerchief and commenced sweeping unconsiderably. "Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo, you heartless hare! Wah! My poor little Bearscarum and Melora's old son, wandering around the world willy-nilly, like two homeless waifs. Wah!" Whipscut raised his eyes in despair, apologizing to Lord Hightor as Lady Melora comforted Dunfreda. "Beg pardon, sire. The good lady's wife can't resist a jolly good blubber now and again, what? Here you are, old Jill. Take my kerchief. That won't be enough to stop the tide coming in, what?" Lord Hightor placed a paw around his friend's shoulders. "Dunfreda's right. Ye best follow them. Keep an eye on the pair. It'll only be for a season or two, but it'll put all our minds at rest. I'll look after the mountain." Colonial Whipscut was flabbergasted. What? Hump? You don't mean that, do you?" "Of course he means it, you waxy-whiskered clot. Go on, follow the two poor dears right now, this very instant. Go." Hightor peered out the window at Saxagus and Bearscarum on the beach far below. Both were heading north, carrying massive packs of food, purloined from Solomon Dastron's kitchens. The Badger Lord could not resist a chuckle. "Look at that lot they're carrying. 'Tis enough to keep a regiment going for a full season. No need to hurry, Whipscut. At the rate they're traveling, we'll pick up their trail quite easily after breakfast tomorrow morning. If they'd left enough viddies in the kitchen for the cooks to make a meal." Bearscarum tried to set the packs more evenly between his shoulder blades, grunting with exertion. "Wait for me, Sax, old lad. Me blinking paws are sinking into the sand with this confounded heavy pack." Saxagus, who looked like to be called Sax, was by far the stronger of the two, even though he staggered a little bit as he called back over his shoulder to Bearscarum. Who preferred the name Scarum? Good job we don't have to walk far then, Scarum. Just round the cove to the rocks in the north spur. Wait till Kriva sees all the grub we brought along, eh? Scarum caught up with his badger pair. Indeed, if we're running off to sea, we'll need a proper scoff, what? Yicko, I don't mind living off the land, but the idea of Krivas of living off the sea, raw fish and seaweed, I should jolly well say not. They edged down below the tide line to see where the sand was firmer under Paul. It made the going easier. Sax smiled happily. No more being sentenced to washing the pots. Scarum grinned like a demented rabbit, or scrubbing the bloomin' mess hall out, or weeding the garden rocks all day, or polishing spears and shields in the dreaded armory. Sax did a fair imitation of his father. I can understand Scarum, he's a hare, but you, Saxagus, Sagazis, you're supposed to be the son of the Badger Lord. Why your mother even named you Sagazis, I'll never know. She said you're supposed to be like the old Badger Lord she'd read of, Rasan the Wise, her fifth great-grandsire. So she called you Saxagus. That's supposed to mean wise also, huh? Now this is your last chance, do you hear me? Scarum did an even better impersonation of his father. Hump! You're a rip, sire, an utter flippin' rip, what? You see these gray hair ruinin' me best mustache, eh? Well, you put 'em there. Hump! If you're one of my patrol, I'd clap you into the bally dungeons, what? Creever heard them coming, making the bowline fast to the nubby rock. He leapt out onto the sand. Come on, mates, stir your stumps, or we'll miss the tide. His boat was a double-sailed ketch, which he had stolen from 3 sea rats a long season ago. It was trimmed-lined vessel, fore and aft sails, the latter being set slightly in front of the rudder. Creever gasped as he helped them heave their packs on board. He loosed the bowline as they skipped aboard. Stamp me rudder, are you trying to sink us with victuals? Scarum winked his nose at the sea otter. You carry on scoffing seaweed and sprats, leave this to us, pal. Kriva caught the breeze just right and sent the ketch skimming down the northwesterly tack, his hearty laugh ringing out. Har har, me old mateys, welcome aboard the Stop Dog. Sagex looked up questioningly. The Stop Dog? Kriva winked and gave him a roguish grin. Aye, that's the last thing I heard when the 3 sea rats hollered at me. Stop, dog! So that's why I call her. Stop, dog. Scarum tried to rise gingerly from a sitting position. Shouldn't we be doing something, paddling or tugging on ropes to make this boat go? Kriva had the foresail fixed and the stern sail controlled in one paw, as he held the tiller with the other. Bless your hearts, no, mate. This one goes by yourself, though. It does need an expert's paw like mine to keep her on course. Sagex watched the skillful otter intently. How did you learn to sail like that? Did your parents teach you? Kriva shrugged. I never had no parents, mate. At least none that I knows about. Out here in the briny, it's learn fast or perish, and I wasn't ready to perish. Scarum began opening one of the backpacks. Talking about parents, I bet my old paw's whiskers will be ready to curl when he finds I've hopped it. As for Mom, she's probably blubbered till there ain't a dry kerchief on the flippin' mountain. Loves a good blubber, though it drives Paul scatty, what? Sagex felt his conscience twinging guiltily. Let's stop talking about parents. 'Tisn't as though we've never seen him again. We'll probably drift back to the mountain in a season or two, when we're too grown up for them to push and shove around. Bet they'll be glad to see us. Come on, Kriva, you old sea dog. Give us one of your ditties. Immediately the cheerful otter obliged. He had a good voice. How I was born on a storm one winter's morn, when I was fat and tiny, with the wind for my paw and the sea for my maw, way out on the briny. Let the codfish sing with ding-a-ling, and crabs dance with the shark. Hey ho again for rollin' Maine, I'm happy as a lark. Ho, my first ship was a cockle shell, I painted it bright red. Away I judder with my tail as a rudder, far out over the waves I sped. Then a nice old whale made me a sail That helped me go faster, so I voyaged free on the deep blue sea with no beast for the master. The little ketch was soon lost in a world of silver-flecked water, scudded out northwest of the moonlight realms, like a willow leaf on a huge immeasurable pond. By mid-noon on the following day, Colonial Whipscut was back at Salamandastron making his report to Lord Hightower after a fruitless search of the shoreline. "Hurrump! I lost them, sire." Hightower's brows beetled low over his fierce dark eyes. "Lost him, Colonel, maybe. How in the name of Scut and Stripes could you lose two youngsters carrying a great backpacks? Surely their trails must be clear enough." Whipscut shook his head, scratching his waxed mustache until it became like tattered string. Well, had my breakfast as usual an hour after dawn, took a stroll down to the blinking beach, and there was with the tracks, plain as an ear on my bonds, what? Have followed 'em for a short while, when they bloomed well vanished. Controlling his temper, the Badger Lord stared at Colonial. "Well, where exactly did you lose sight of the trail?" Whipscut gestured back over his shoulder. "Round those rocks at the North Spur, sire, where the tides washed over at a flood. No sign of the scoundrels. I've got a search patrol north along the coast. They'll find the villains if any beast can. Did all I could, sir. Apologies." Hightower placed a huge ball on his friend's shoulder. "No need for apologies, Whip. You did your best." A knock sounded on the chamber door. Hightower called briskly, "Come." Sergeant Widepaw, a fine, big, capable veteran hare, entered. With him was a runner, an extremely bright and pretty haremaid. Both saluted with their laces, then Widepaw spoke, keeping his eyes to front. "Colonial, sir. My lud, no sight of the running beast whatsoever. I did find this, however, on the North Spur, sir." He produced a braided cord of red and green. The Colonial expected it. Bascaram's paw bracelet made it for him myself. What in the name of Scott and Eard would this be doing there, what? Sergeant Widepaw nodded for the haremaid to step forwards. "Stir Mindrel has something to say. Carry on, Joe." The haremaid runner bobbed a swift curtsy. "I was on afternoon, second run yesterday, sir. Spotted a little sailboat near the North Spur. There was an otter on board. He didn't see me, sir, so I carried on. Thought nothing more about it, sir. He looked like most sea otters, friendly type." Hightower and the Colonial exchanged glances. The Badger waited until Whipscut had dismissed both hares. Then, when they had gone, the Colonial banged a clenched paw on the tabletop. "Crew of a wave dog, I might have belly well known it." The hackles rose on Hightower's broad shoulders. "That pirate! How many times have I warned Sagaxus to stay away from him? Kruba is naught but trouble. I wish I had a young sea otter in front of me right now. I'd make that rudder of his sting. He wouldn't sit down for a season." The realization of what had happened hit Whipscut. "Oh, lack a belly day and a half. They've run off to sea with him. No wonder I lost the confounded trail." Hightower sat on the table, placing his striped head between both paws, his voice weary with resignation. "Better not breathe a word to Melora or Dunfreda. No use trying to worry them further. Just you say you lost the tracks over some rocks and sifting sand. I tell you, Whip, those two have really done it now." The Colonial twirled his mustache fiercely, tidying it up. "You're right, old friend. The worrying will be up to us from now on, what?"